So you ever played a game just out of the sheer fact that you wanted a challenge and it was very difficult because you were looking for like the best ending in the game, or what they call the good ending, like a game like Chrono Trigger that has a bunch of different endings. Like there's a lot of modern games, but I like to use the retro games. For me, when I look at life, I try to look for like some of the most difficult challenges. I think I kind of do it to myself just so I can get the best ending. And one of those quests in my life was getting to Africa. For a very long time, about 4 years, we can go all the way back to about 2013, 2014. This was like a year or so after my mother passed. One of the things she wanted was that she wanted like black people to win at something, mainly in Jamaica. She wanted like Jamaica to win a football team or something like that, you know, to represent black people in some form of competitive form. Well, I don't have a sports team, but I do have an eSports team. And I've done a lot of things in the US with Empire Arcadia. We literally, the greatest thing we've ever done was become the most documented tournament winning video game team ever. This has been certified by Guinness. So I felt that, you know, in her passing, one of the things I could do was take my team back to like its roots. You know, being that I'm an African man, I wanted to kind of like take our team and kind of focus on where is Africa as a whole in the entire world, not just like in the Caribbean or in Latin America or the motherland, but Africa as a world. Where's Africa in esports? So I came to Jamaica and I tried to set up an esports infrastructure here with the local people in Jamaica. So I worked with a bunch of other people. The live video game TV like literally documented a lot of these things. In fact, I put out an entire video about it. It was like my resume here in Jamaica. But the final frontier for that quest was to go back to Africa, to the motherland itself, and see what esports was like there, and see if I could volunteer my experience, volunteer a lot of the work that I've done to help strengthen Africa's esports infrastructure. And I've literally been planning with a lot of people, from guys that you've seen before like Nathan, guys like Aaron, guys like Kwesi, and a bunch of other people that I've worked with in Africa over the years, just communicating with them through social media. But the quest to go there and physically work with them, that's the real deal. And I knew that was going to be a difficult mission, but I was like, I have to give it a go. So starting our quest to go to Africa was, you know, I wanted to go there and document everything. And I usually document everything through my vlogs. But I felt that something of this magnitude needed to be documented professionally. So I sought the aid of Wayne Benjamin from the Live Video Game TV, because of all my work I've done here in the Caribbean, he's been the guy that's done most of the documentary work for me professionally. So I was like, that's the guy that I need to take with me to Africa. So, you know, I contacted a couple of private sponsors and supporters of our community based on YouTube and our Discord, and guys put together enough money. We did like a huge online campaign and we raised like thousands of dollars. So we prepared. The time came for us to kind of get ready to go there, and you know, we had to get up early in the morning because we had like a early morning flight and stuff like that. And so he came and picked me up in the morning, and we went to Norman Manley Airport. There was a thing where he told me that we had to register our electronic equipment, because I brought my Nintendo Switch with me and my camera, and he says you want to make sure you do that, because if you don't, you may get charged for duty to bringing back your own stuff that you own. So we're here at the airport, Norman Manley International Airport. Once we get to Miami, then we connect to our actual flight that goes to Ghana, Africa. There's a connection flight in Portugal, Spain. So we have a long ride, but let the journey begin. The time came, we got on the flight. He got the window seat. I had to sit on the edge. Like, that's annoying. I usually like recording from the window, but he got the window seat and everything. And, you know, we flew out, and in about an hour or so, we got to Miami.
Headed out with Empire Arcadia for the Access Summit in Ghana. We're now leaving Kingston, Jamaica, headed to MIA. The next stop after that is going to be Portugal, Spain, then Accra, Ghana.
Okay, so we are in Miami's airport right now. We gotta get our bags and check out and then recheck in to connect to our flight before we eventually head off to Ghana. So we have some time here at the airport. So let's see what Miami's airport has to offer.
Okay, we're here at MIA, one of the busiest and most hectic airports, second to JFK. From there, we head to Portugal. From Portugal, we head to Ghana.
We got two different flights. The flight from Kingston to Miami and back was a separate flight altogether. So our next flight from Miami to Portugal was like in 6 hours or so. So we had a 6-hour wait. So we pretty much at that point said, all right, we're gonna just sit here and chill and grab some breakfast. First time we had some like American breakfast in a long time because we live in Jamaica. So there's no Dunkin' Donuts here, not that I know of, but we got some Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast and stuff like that. And we just waited out until it was time for us to check in. There's an irony with TAP Portugal, the airline, being that it's a Portuguese airline. You know, if you do your history, you'll find out that the Portuguese actually started the slave trade. In fact, they're the ones who actually brought us over from Africa, Ghana of all places. So this is the irony of all places, Ghana. They brought us from Ghana, and the first stop was Jamaica, and then they, you know, dropped the rest of us around Haiti and, you know, the other Caribbean islands, and they went through so much to get us over here in the West. And the irony of it is that checking in for this flight to go back to Ghana from the Portuguese was perhaps the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my entire life, going back home. So let me tell you the story of how this actually took place. So we waited about 6 hours, as I said, in the Miami airport, and when it was time to check in, we found out that, well, we always knew we had to get a visa on arrival. That's what we were told. We did all of our background check, and, you know, for people in Jamaica, you can just go to Ghana and then you get your visa when you arrive there, because there's no Ghana consulate or embassy in Jamaica. There's only ones in the United States. So you'd have to be an American citizen to use the ones in the United States. Wayne, being just having a Jamaican passport, he didn't have one. So I wanted to use my Jamaican passport along with him, and we both go under our Jamaican passports. And when we got to the desk, the lady was like, "Where's your visa on arrival confirmation?" And I was like, "Oh, we get it when we get to Ghana." And she was like, "No, you need a confirmation to state that you'll get a visa on arrival when you get to Ghana." Which I kind of wonder if a lot of people even know this. Like, has this ever happened to anyone before? But if you're from Jamaica and you're trying to go to Ghana, you need a confirmation. And in order to get that confirmation, you have to contact the country of Ghana itself. Immigration, well, I didn't know that. So, you know, and because I didn't know that, we couldn't board our flight. And we lost our original flight to go there. The Thursday flight that we're trying to buy, they won't sell it to us. We will lose the entire ticket So the lady said you have to. Yes, and they said they need a visa on arrival confirmation today, but they won't give us the ticket unless you give them the visa on arrival. But you can't give us the visa on arrival without the ticket. And that was devastating to us because we were like, what? We made this. This is like 4 years in the making. And Wayne was like, I can't believe this is happening. And it's like, he was like, it's like all of this planning and we're dead in the water. And I'm like, no, we're going to Ghana no matter what. Even if we have to go there one way and don't come back, we're going to Ghana. So we just lose a whole flight and then have to pay for a whole another one? It's literally just steal thousands of dollars from us. We just gotta rebuy it. So at that point, I had to start calling some people in Africa that I actually knew that was literally in Ghana. My friend Jafar, and he knew people in immigration, and he had to get on his motorbike with a friend and race down to the airport and speak to immigration to get us an expedited visa on arrival confirmation. And they sent that to us in the following day, which we had to then go to a hotel and stay for that night. We came back the following day and we showed them the visa on arrival, just to like the paper that, what it's supposed to be on and everything. And they said, yes, that's supposed to be it. So when was our next flight going to be? Well, there were no flights on Tuesday, so that was unfortunate. There was no flights Wednesday, and they had a flight that was leaving out on Thursday. That was the next available flight that they could actually get us. So we had to wait all the way to Thursday to get a new flight. And they didn't credit us the missed flight, nor did they refund us. In fact, not only did they cancel the first going, they literally canceled our returning flight, which I don't even understand why. They didn't tell us that until later on. So on Tuesday, we just bought a one-way flight, and I was under the assumption that we still have our returning flight because we didn't use it. So we have one going and one coming back, and now we have an expedited visa on arrival. So we're good. So I checked in with her, and she says, yes, that's what the visa on arrival's confirmation is supposed to look at. Check back with us when you're going. To double check, because I've had this problem in Jamaica before, some countries you can't go into on a one-way flight. You need a returning flight. So I asked the lady, is this good enough even if we just have a one-way? And she said, yes. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. She's like, as long as you have your visa on arrival, you're good to go. So I said, all right, that kind of makes sense. If you have a visa on arrival or even just a visa, you can go into the country on a one-way. So that makes sense. So for Tuesday and Wednesday, we stayed in a hotel. 2 more days. We went to the Days Inn. I kind of miss American food, but for those 2 days, eating fast food for like 2 days was kind of ugh. So like we kind of had to go and go to Chili's, and we had a salmon, some like real food. And we ate and we had a good time and whatnot. And then Thursday came, and at Thursday it was time to check into the flight. And we wanted to make sure that we were ready for anything, because it looked like some force in the universe was trying to stop us from going back to Ghana. So we got there early, like 3 hours, got some breakfast, and literally sat in front of that line until the time that they opened up. And with the visa on arrival confirmation in hand, brand new ticket to go to Ghana, we were set. And we decided to check in. When we decided to check in, they were like, I'm sorry, but you need a return ticket in order to go. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. We still have our remaining flight. And they said, no, that flight's been canceled because you missed the first flight. So I said, how do you guys just take away a flight we didn't even get to use? And they said, their terms and conditions state so, international airlines. So unless we buy a new flight, we can't go. This then forced us to buy a flight out of Ghana to Ivory Coast, which we never even used that flight. We just bought it so we could use the flight that Thursday. And so we've lost thousands of dollars. Like ultimately at the end of the trip, there was like $9,000, $10,000 just to go to Ghana. So like, that's crazy, just to get back to Wakanda. All right guys, so it's been a long, crazy layover in Miami, but They're now calling our flight for Lisbon, Spain. So we're gonna get on this flight right now, and then one more stop, and we'll finally reach Ghana. So we finally got through. We got past the checkpoint, thank God. We were told that we needed that confirmation or we wouldn't be able to get past Portugal to get to Ghana. So everything was good. We passed the checkpoint, like I said, the security cleared us. We sat down and we finally waited for our flight. And we finally boarded our flight, and that's the part where I'm talking about one of the hardest games I've ever played in my life. All right, we're about to get on our plane, so we will definitely see you when we touch on in Ghana, okay? Later. What's the hardest game you've ever played? Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Cuphead, Dead Cells, or Nightmare? The hardest game I've ever played in my life is life itself. The amount of obstacles you have to go through just to get to your destination. It's like one of the hardest levels in the worst Mario game you've ever played. And that's what I've been going through for the last couple of days. But I've made it through those levels. We're on the plane, and our next stop is Ghana.
And we're off.
So 7 to 8 hours in the air with Portugal. It's kind of funny that, you know, their customer service in Miami is absolutely trash. But when you're in the air on the airline, the airplane itself, it's like day and night. It was so nice. You know, very spacious, a great airplane itself and whatnot. We got some good food, and it was good. It was a nice flight. There was no problems while we was in the air and stuff like that. And we finally got to Portugal, where we had a 4 to 5 hour layover. So, you know, that's where you guys see me on social media, laying down in my Zelda hoodie and whatnot, because we were so tired. I don't know if it was jet lag or just the whole ordeal of being stuck in, you know, Miami for about 3 or 4 days before we finally got our flight. But I needed to rest because it was just a crazy ordeal until it was time for us to get our flight now from Portugal to Ghana. So we're finally here in Portugal. Man, when we got here, it was like dead. There was nobody here, ghost town. And we've been here for 10 hours. And I've been in longer layovers, but 10 hours is a long time. Had to get some sleep, we rest up and everything. And now it's like the middle of the day, and a bunch of people are here. It's all packed, and we're now gonna connect to our final flight to Ghana. So, yeah, we're just gonna get on that flight. How much time we have left? We have about 40 minutes before they start boarding and stuff like that. Ate some lunch, jumped online, contacted everyone, but now we need to get going, and then once we get to Ghana, the work can begin. So here we are, like, okay, it's a good thing we have our return ticket, although it was set from Ghana to Ivory Coast. We have to show them that. When we got to check in for the plane, they said, do you have your visa on arrival confirmation? We was like, yes. They said, get in. So we bought a flight that had no purpose. Literally, they didn't use it, they didn't check it in, it had nothing to do with anything. So we literally just wasted like $1,000+ for nothing. So that was like, I didn't know whether I should be upset or not, because we were getting on the plane, and as long as we're getting to Ghana, that's all that mattered. But I was sitting there like, we went through that for what again? Anyway. So 7 hours more, we finally reached to Ghana. And when we went to Ghana, we just had to get past immigration. And the gentleman who helped us with our immigration papers, shout outs to you out there. He really helped us out. It was a good thing, because he told us that, you know, the following year, which I had already known about, was the Ghana 2019 Year of Return campaign, where people from the Caribbean, Latin America, and the United States who have you know, heritage dating going all the way back to Africa would actually be able to return to Ghana through Ghana, because that's where we left. And this year in 2019, they're going to make it easier for people from that region of the world that identify with their African heritage to come back home. So he really wanted to go out of his way to help. So it was good to know when we reached to Ghana that their entire government infrastructure was so helpful. We really appreciate that about their immigration. One of the best immigration we've ever gone through. And I've traveled a lot of places. Clearly the best immigration we've ever gone through. Came in, boop, boop, went straight in. So anyone who's visiting Ghana, you'll love their immigration.
Here we are at Playbox's GamerFest 2018 in Accra, Ghana, where top esports players from all over the country have gathered to prove their worth and test their mettle in FIFA 19. Also joining us is 9-time Guinness World Record holder and International Video Game Hall of Fame inductee and ambassador Isaiah Triforce Johnson of Empire Arcadia. Stick with us as we speak with other players, esports organizers, and esports executives involved in this historic event. We're just getting started.
So day one, GamerFest. And on this day, we got there bright and early. We had to get up in the morning. We head down there. Wayne said he wanted to get there as quickly as possible because he wanted to get the drone shot. I'm telling you, the drones, man. And we got a great drone shot of the entire horizon of Legon, which is a region in Ghana, the city of Accra, if I'm pronouncing that right. And we were at this place. He had a nice venue there. They were building some glass place to the side, but they used a lawn, which was great. They put up some tents and they started setting up the games, and people started coming in and started getting their practice and playing the games. Africa TV was there to cover the whole thing. A couple of radio stations was there as well. And Wayne just went to work on that. We interviewed the person, Aaron Boateng, who's the CEO and the president of GamerFest and Playbox Ghana. Now we interviewed one of the reigning champions. In fact, I think he's Ghana or even Africa's best FIFA player, which is Wonder Kid. And we interviewed a couple of other people who are actually supporting the entire scene, the esports and competitive scene there, and they help Aaron with the logistics and things like that. So we really spent our time just working. Day one was just work. We were grinding 24/7. Well, not 24/7, but you get the point. We was grinding for a very long time. So Wayne was just sitting there putting together the videos and whatnot. And before the day was done, he had 2 videos already out in the same day, because we wanted to really show everyone we were here for business. We went through all of that in Miami to get there. It was time to get that work done. So we got it done.
People know that Africa has champions as well. So if you win, good luck, because I'm going to be bringing out one of my players from Jamaica to come beat you.
So at GamerFest, a friend of ours came by, the same gentleman who helped us get in contact with immigration, Jafar. He showed up at GamerFest and we met him, and at GamerFest had ended, so we went back to the hotel. The following day, he came over with his friend, his sister, Kate, and we spent some time together. We ordered some food and we ate, and he gave us a little history and rundown about Ghana and the culture there, and we had a discussion about how it's so similar to Jamaica. Jamaica is literally an island version of Ghana. If you're Jamaican and you have never been to Ghana, when you go there, you're gonna be like, why is this a country version of Jamaica? But in reality, it's an island version of Ghana, because Ghana was first, not Jamaica. So after that, we decided to change locations and we headed to Jafar's house. That's where we decided to stay for the duration of our time. With our returning ticket for the following Tuesday gone, we literally had no return ticket. So we were literally in Ghana for an unknown amount of time with no return. So we wanted to make sure that we could do what we said we want to come there to do, and a little bit more before we find a way to get a return ticket and go back home. So we stayed at Jafar's house for a little bit, and hanging out with Jafar was very interesting because it's not common to be hanging out with someone you consider a good friend and a brother to you, and then you find out that they're an actual professional FIFA player. The guy actually plays football. He has a knee injury which he's trying to recover from so he can get back and playing professionally. And he told us his whole story, and Wayne was really interested in that. He was like, what? You're an actual professional football player? And he was like, yeah, I'm just injured and I'm trying to get my knee fixed. So he's trying to find a way to get to the United States so that he can get a actual surgery on his knee, professionally done, so he can return back to Ghana and represent Africa in football. And Wayne was so interested. He's like, I want to do a short piece on you regarding that. He's a gamer too. He plays football, FIFA. So he plays it virtually and he plays it physically. And he did a whole short piece on him, which I found very cool. You guys can definitely check that out on Fabrikated ProjeX. But you know, we found out he's Muslim. He showed us his mosque where he prays, and there's a lot of things I knew about Islam, but I found out a lot more when you actually meet someone who's in the East, who's a Muslim versus Muslims in the West. It's it's different. The feel is completely different. So, you know, watching him worship and pray and having one of his Islamic brethren come over and pray with him, that was a real experience for me, because I never saw it before. You know, I know about Islamic people in the West, and I've met all type of religious people, but to see that happen in Africa was like an experience. So that was a very cool and interesting thing for me to experience, and I'm glad I met Jafar. Jafar, thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Gamerfest is over. Your boy won the Pt.1, representing Ghana as usual. He won his 4th straight tournament. Coming up is the African Commonwealth Conference for eSports Structure and Summit. And I'm going to be one of the guests there that's going to be talking with some of the Africa's, you know, big esports people, especially in Ghana. And I want to make sure that if I'm going to go there, I got to represent the motherland traditionally. So I was like, I need to shop and pick up something that's going to represent me. Like, you guys remember Black Panther and how he went to the UN and he had his own African attire. So I was like, that has to happen. So we went to the store, me and Wayne from the Live Video Game TV, and I saw this. And I was like, I've got to cop it. And I wish this was gold, but gold is divine, purple is royal. So I'll take it either way. So I'll be wearing this at the Access Summit, and I'll see you guys there.
So now, you know, after getting the local tour from Jafar, that was our one break, and it was time for us to get back to business. So now we had to go to the Access Summit. Now we call it Access because it stands for the African Commonwealth Conference for eSports Structure and Summit. So it's a summit about building the esports structure of Africa, and we have a conference with a bunch of people that's supposed to represent all the different areas of Africa. It isn't just for Ghana. That's perhaps one of the biggest misconceptions about the Access Summit. Although the first Access Summit started in Ghana, we look to have this summit in the future bring all different representatives from the different countries on the motherland's continent. So whether it may be Nigeria, whether it may be Kenya, whether it may be Ethiopia, wherever in Africa, we want to bring all of these other esports entrepreneur leaders, pioneers, and representatives to the Access Summit, where we can discuss the current esports ecosystem and the climate of where esports is on the continent, and how we can unify all of our resources, all of our experience, all of our information to make a stronger infrastructure. They have this thing called the African Esports Championships, and they don't want to just have it before the motherland, but they definitely have an interest in 2019 in getting the Caribbean involved. And as Ghana's international esports ambassador, they said they wanted to use me as the point man to connect our brothers and sisters here in the Caribbean back to Africa. And I was so proud to hear that, because I really felt like, you know, this entire journey just to get here, everything we went through, the 5 days it took to get to Ghana, it was all justified just by hearing that from Kabina. So, you know, I was really emotional, and I really don't get emotional, so I had to keep it together. So don't let the cameras fool you. But I was really happy. There was a sense of pride and self-determination, integrity, ambition, a lot of things, a lot of emotions was going through me at the time, and they were like, you know, Triforce, we want you to help lead us in that department and so forth, which I don't mind being the leader, but I can't be the leader alone. And I let them know that this is not a one-man crusade thing, and this is not about me. This is about us as a people. So, you know, I told them that it's about me educating them based on what I've learned in the West and making them become leaders too, so that we're all leaders and all the leaders will unite, and that's what would make the network stronger. And when the network becomes stronger, the infrastructure becomes stronger.
We have about 26 countries who want to participate in the African eSports Championship. Our network is our network.
So after the Access Summit, the following day, this was like Wednesday now, I was disappointed that that due to the schedule changes that we didn't get all the community members there. So I actively reached out to them on Twitter and other social media platforms that I had to use based on the content that Wayne had put together about the summit. So he put together a promo about the summit, and I told them that it was unfortunate that they weren't there, but if we are going to be in Ghana for an unknown time, and if they were available, I would love to meet up with them at the coffee shop at Accra Mall, where we can get to talk with members of the community and kind of like make up for that time lost.
We are at Accra Mall here in Ghana, and this is a real relaxed edition of the Lab Video Game TV. Today we're just here to chill. We're going to get some food, and then we're going to go to the coffee shop, meet up with a lot of esports representatives throughout Ghana, and we're going to talk more games and stuff like that. It's going to be like a chill edition of the Lab Video Game TV. So join us, because our game is never over.
I reached out to Thumbstick Lounge, and Thumbstick Lounge had contacted a couple people. I even made a post on it on my Twitter saying, hey guys, me and Wayne from the Lab Video Game TV, we're going to be at the coffee shop. Please meet us there. And we would love to talk to you guys. And a couple of the guys came out from the community, and we spoke for a bit. And you know, Wayne asked him a very important question about, you know, the scene as a whole in the community, which I gave some answers to. And but we didn't really have a lot of time at the mall. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to connect with, like, how can we use this opportunity of meeting the community to get a bigger platform to let them know I'm even in Ghana, because a lot of people in the gaming scene in Ghana didn't even know I was on the motherland. They didn't even know I was in a country. So the Thumbstick Lounge guys said they could make something happen by helping getting me on Kwesi TV. So this is when I really got introduced to the people at Kwesi TV, in where Yuba from GTC allowed me to share a spot with him on a Thursday night show that they had on Kwesi TV, where they wanted to introduce me officially, network television. This is like the #1 network TV in Ghana. So they was like, no, you're an international guest, Triforce. We know about you. We know about Empire Arcadia. We know about your history, which I was surprised about. I did not know that Ghana knew about my team and what we've done in gaming and what we've been trying to do, and even us getting, you know, ready to come to Africa. So they knew all of that. They just didn't know I was in Africa. So we went to Kwesi TV and did my interview with them, which was really much of an introduction. Welcome to Ghana. They wanted to let people in Ghana know that I was actually there. And Yuba invited me to his GGC finals, which was later on that weekend, at the end of the weekend, which was a Sunday. So obviously I'm going to take that invite up with him. So I was like, sure, I'd love to be there. And he was like, we want to have you on as a guest commentary. And I was like, wow. And we were in the TV station, so I kind of already saw what the commentary desk looked like. And I was like, this is some ESPN level stuff. So I was like, sure, I definitely would love to come on. And during the actual program that we were on, I pretty much introduced myself from Empire Arcadia and what I've done with esports and my team over here in the US, and what I'm looking forward to do for our people back on the motherland in the East. And you know, that I was appointed as Ghana's International Esports Ambassador and so forth. It was a short segment, but we got straight to the point, and they were able to introduce me. They really talked me up a lot about my world records and stuff like that. So I was like, I kind of felt embarrassed a little bit. I was like, do we have to talk about that? Not that I should be, I know I should be proud, but I don't like when people kind of like big me up. I don't know what that is. Like, yeah. So, but after that, you know, we wrapped up the interview and the introduction, and we took a Wakanda Forever picture, you know, which I've been doing that for all the time there. It's like, why are you like doing that? And a lot of people is like, you know, Wakanda is a fake place, and a lot of people don't know that Wakanda is actually Africa. That's what it means, you know. It's the 4 points of Africa, north, east, west, south. And they take cultures from all 4 points of Africa and combine it into the middle. And that's the representation of that Africa as a whole. So when they say Wakanda forever, it means Africa forever. I don't know why that was so hard for people to figure out, but I kind of got that off the first strap. But so we did that, and we ended up leaving Kwesi TV, and then we was gonna take a next day or two off and just try to like prepare ourselves for Sunday.
We're at the St. George's Castle in Elmina, Ghana, where the original slave trade started. This place was created by the Portuguese in 1482.
So before we, like, I was waiting to get, like, I was like, oh man, I can't wait till Sunday, because I wanted to see I want to be a part of the GGC finals event and so forth. I just had to be there. I wanted to see what it was like, because I saw what they did in terms of interviewing us for Kwesi TV for their just my introduction to Ghana. So I really wanted to see what the esports segment looked like. But before that happened, there was one personal thing I wanted to come to Ghana for, and I wanted to see specifically where our origins, where we as Caribbean Africans come from. And I've been hearing a lot of things from people about this castle in Elmina, Ghana, called St. George. It's the slave fortress, or the slave prison. And I was like, you know something? With our next couple of days off, Friday and Saturday, I would love to go down to Elmina, and I would like to see this fortress. We met a couple of young ladies. We met Selma, and we met Louisa. And so we went back to Jafar's house, and we met those girls, and we had a nice time with them and whatnot. And we was like, let's go to Elmina Castle on Saturday. And they actually said they would love to come. So we was like, oh, okay, cool. So we were told it was a 2-hour ride there. And it ended up taking 4 to 5 hours to get there because of the traffic. So when we got there, sunlight was going down. We had to make it a quick trip to like really get the whole experience of it there. But that experience of going to that place and seeing where they took us to, processed us, changed our religion, changed our culture, put us on a boat. Well, put most of us on a boat. Some of us didn't make it on the boat. Some of us was thrown in, they tied a rock to us and threw us in the ocean. Those are those who weren't conforming to the colonizers and the imperialists. And I've been in the cells. You can still smell the death, and it's been 500 years. Same metals that they've used there, a lot of the things there, the stories that we found out. Man, you guys need to check out this project that Wayne's going to be doing on Fabrikated ProjeX, where he's going to do a whole documentary on it, because that's literally what we did. We literally went through everything, and we talked about the door of no return. This is the door where you went through, and it shipped you to the west, and there's no return. The irony behind it is that 500 plus years later, we have returned. So now, after that real experience of a day at Saturday at Elmina's slave forges, Sunday is here. And this was the day we had to get ready to go down to Kwesi TV and get ready for the FIFA finals. I didn't know what to expect, really. I had to bring the power glove this time, because I was like, it's game time. So usually, I don't know what you guys, so you know, you don't see a power glove or anything like this. Usually when I do things like interviews and it's about the business of esports, I just keep it as Isaiah. But when it's game time, when the video games is involved and I'm at an event, we put on the power glove. So when I got there, they was like, okay, Triforce, we're gonna put you here on the desk. They're gonna introduce you to the esports world in Ghana. I'm here through Kwesi TV, and they was like, we need to get you there's like, what's that line? I always wanted to say this, makeup. So the makeup guy came and started putting makeup on my face and whatnot. And while he was doing it, I had to do an introduction to the live video game TV as well. And I had the glove and the whole 9 yards. And the guy, you know, he introduced me, talked about the team and our awards and all the stuff that we've done in the West. And he wanted to shake my hand. And this guy acted like he was being electrocuted, which was funny. And this was all live. I was like, oh my goodness, that was so cringy. But it was all in good fun and whatnot. And the way they set up that place, it was so great. They built a small in-studio arena. So it's a huge 100-inch screen TV that everyone that was sitting on these rafters could watch. And the two players was at the bottom, and it was playing on a smaller TV screen so that you could watch it. And they broadcast this live. This was like network television. I was blown away. I'm like, what is this? I'm saddened because I'm like, this is not even in Jamaica. I'm like, no, none of the television stations down here do this. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, Kwesi TV, like this guy, the guy that runs Kwesi TV of the EchoNet Media president, Joseph Honda, if I'm even pronouncing his last name properly, he has a vision in looking at a different type of comprehensive, personalized content between the audience and how to broadcast that. I wouldn't call it necessarily revolutionary, but he has the vision. He sees it. He sees what the audience wants their thing to be put out through their mainstream and social media platforms. That's what the audience was. That's why Twitch TV is so huge. That's why YouTube is so huge, and all of these other mainstream social media platforms are so huge, because they understand, they connect with the actual people. So to see a TV station dedicated to creating esports content in Africa, I was like, wait a minute, Africa isn't that far behind. There's places in the West further behind than Africa. So it's really what I said it was at the Access Summit, communication. I don't even think a lot of people even know this, and we got to get that out there to the people. After the finals for the GGC at Kwesi TV, I got a chance to meet with like all these different members of the Ghana esports scene and other people representing Nigeria and other countries. It wasn't just, you know, people representing Ghana. There was other Africans there from other countries as well, and we spoke with them. I asked them, what are some of the problems and so forth. I told them, lay it on me. Some of them wanted to kind of introduce it to me softly, because I guess they felt they didn't want to embarrass the scene. But I was like, no, you can just talk straight to me. Anyone who's watched my streams on YouTube, you'll know that I'm a very straightforward person. And what I found out is that there really aren't any problems, not any serious ones. The same problems that Africa has in terms of all the different communities trying to get along with each other is the same problems that's happened in the West, in the Caribbean, in Latin America, and definitely America, especially the fighting game community. Like, we're not going to talk about that. But anyway, so I told them these aren't problems. We need to focus on the solutions, getting everybody on the same page, getting everyone a chance to express themselves and express their issues so that we can find the solution that best suits everybody. And I felt like I was really doing my work as their ambassador, because it wasn't about who's wrong or who's right or who's at fault. It's about finding solutions and unifying the people and empowering that network so that we can strengthen our infrastructure. So that's all I really focused on. A couple of days, I think it was a day later, it was time for the barbecue. Yeah, it was actually the following day, but in the evening, it was time to go to a barbecue, and we had to go to Tema, Ghana. So we had to go an hour outside of Accra to get to these guys. And we brought Selma and we brought Louisa. Unfortunately, Jafar couldn't come because he had to actually stay home and pray. So we understood that. We talked a little bit more about the community and what was the next step. And a lot of them were kind of upset because it's like, you know, we're getting ready to go home soon, like in the next day or so, and they wish there was more time. But I told them, fear not, I'm definitely returning to Ghana in 2019. Then they offered to play a game of Smash Brothers Ultimate with me. And I was like, oh man, and there's like, you know, they got some huge Nintendo fans there. So I was like, oh, there's a Nintendo community in Africa? There's like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, why would I think there wouldn't be a Nintendo community in Africa? So Nintendo's worldwide. So I was happy that, you know, there. And these guys, they knew about my Nintendo history. They knew about me being the first to stand in line for all the different games and how I've worked for Nintendo in the past. And I have a great relationship with the president of Nintendo of America, Reggie Fils-Aimé, and how I passed the torch to Alex, Captain Nintendo, C&D. So they knew all about it. I was like, what? Like, there's like, yeah, we heard about it. We've seen it. We watch YouTube. And I'm like, obviously, YouTube unites the world. So everyone knows what's going on. So they said, let's play some Smash Brothers. And we started playing. And I don't want to boast, but let's just say it's fortunate for them. They didn't put their own footage out, because that was a slaying. You know, I was getting it in with Link right there. And I was happy too, because I was like, the worst thing that could ever happen, because I know they were recording. I was like, oh my God, if I lose a single match, it's just going on Twitter and they're gonna blow me up. So we did all of that, and we decided to head back home and prepare for our departure the following day and come back to the West.
Hey guys, we are here at the London Airport, Heathrow, and we're at the end of our journey. It was a long one. We did more than we actually thought we were going to be able to do. A lot more, especially with all the adventures we had to go through the trip. We covered GamerFest 2018. We went down and we got to the Access Summit. There I was actually appointed as Ghana's International Esports Ambassador. After that, we went to Kwesi TV. We did an interview there to introduce myself to the entire nation, which was very cool. Thank you, Kwesi TV. And then at the end, we went to the GGC FIFA Finals. And that was an adventure in itself. Like, there's this guy who keeps going, no wonder, kid. That's so funny, but it was definitely great. After that, I had a chance to meet up with the entire community, from Gamers Republic to Thumbstick Lounge and the rest of the guys of the entire Ghana gaming community as a whole, from the casual down to the professionals. In fact, they actually invited us out to a barbecue, which at the end of the barbecue turned into a Smash Brothers little exhibition, and that was kind of cool. Met some great, wonderful people. Shout outs to Jafar, shout outs to Selma and a friend, and shout outs to all the people that made us feel welcome in Ghana and gave us a good time during the most difficult aspects of our journey. But we're now done, and we're heading back to Jamaica, and we got to find the next thing to do in gaming. So we're going to be heading back, because here at the Lab Video Game TV, our game is never over.